The horizon glows with the fiery remnants of conflict, painting the night sky with an ominous orange hue. Each explosion is a stark reminder of the fragile peace that hangs by a thread, and the world watches, holding its breath, as the darkness is pierced by fire and chaos. Headlines scream of impending doom, their bold letters echoing the anxiety that grips millions. News tickers race across screens, updating by the minute, as uncertainty spreads like wildfire. The relentless coverage fuels a sense of urgency, making it impossible to look away from the unfolding crisis. Across the globe, eyes are glued to screens portraying the smoldering wreckage of oil tankers, their twisted metal and rising smoke symbols of a world teetering on the edge. The destruction at sea disrupts vital supply lines, sending shockwaves through international markets and daily life. The eerie calm following a missile's final descent is a silence heavy with fear. In the aftermath, deserted landscapes bear witness to devastation as communities grapple with loss and uncertainty, unsure of what the next day will bring. The specter of war looms over the Middle East, with President Trump and Iran locked in a dangerous dance that could tip the balance into chaos. Tensions escalate with every statement, every maneuver, as soldiers stand ready at tense borders, and leaders weigh their next moves with the world watching. Military footage captures the precision of airstrikes, the cold efficiency of modern warfare on display. Each mission is calculated, yet the consequences are unpredictable, leaving entire regions on edge and populations in constant fear of the next strike. The aftermath of destruction is etched into the ruins of cities where shattered buildings and scattered debris tell stories of lives upended. Civilians pick their way through the rubble, searching for hope amid the devastation, their resilience tested with every passing day. As nations brace for what might come next, leaders gather in urgent meetings, soldiers prepare for the unknown, and ordinary people line up at gas stations, anxious about shortages and the uncertainty of tomorrow. The world stands at a crossroads, its fate hanging in the balance. This is not just a regional conflict, it is a global tinderbox, with ramifications that could ripple far beyond the immediate borders of Iran and its adversaries. Markets react with volatility, and leaders everywhere debate their next steps, aware that the consequences could reshape the world order. The nuclear threshold is a grim reminder of the fine line between deterrence and disaster. The mere presence of such weapons casts a long shadow, raising the stakes and amplifying the risks of miscalculation or escalation. The question remains: can diplomacy prevail, or will the drums of war drown out the calls for reason? In this moment of uncertainty, the choices made by leaders and citizens alike will determine whether the world steps back from the brink or plunges into a conflict with consequences beyond imagination. President Trump's return to the White House in 2025 has sent shockwaves through the global political landscape, reigniting debates and anxieties about America's role on the world stage. His administration has brought a decisive and unmistakable shift in U.S. policy toward Iran, signaling a new era of confrontation and strategic recalibration. Trump's strategy is clear: a hardline stance aimed at dismantling Iran's nuclear capabilities, reimposing strict sanctions, and curbing Tehran's growing influence across the Middle East. In response, Iran, under the unwavering leadership of Supreme Leader Khamenei, has chosen defiance over diplomacy, accelerating its nuclear ambitions and refusing to yield to mounting international pressure. The regime's rhetoric has grown increasingly charged, with officials promising not only retaliation, but also a steadfast defense of Iran's sovereignty and national pride. Iran's proxies across the region, along with frequent missile tests, are calculated moves in a broader geopolitical chess game, designed to project power and test American resolve. Both sides, deeply entrenched in their positions, believe in the righteousness of their cause, fueling a cycle of escalation and mutual distrust that shows no sign of abating. The resulting standoff is more than a bilateral dispute. It highlights the complexity, volatility, and high stakes of international diplomacy in a world where every move is watched and every decision can have global consequences. June 2025 has seen a dramatic and rapid escalation between the United States and Iran, sending shockwaves across the globe. Tensions that had been simmering for months finally boiled over, drawing in not just the two nations but also their allies and adversaries. The world watched anxiously as events unfolded at a breathtaking pace, with each new development raising the stakes higher than before. The crisis began on June 13 when Israel, fearing imminent nuclear advancement by Iran, launched a series of coordinated airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. The strikes lit up the night sky and triggered a chain of retaliation that would soon engulf the region. The world's attention turned to the Middle East as fears of a wider conflict grew. Iran responded swiftly and forcefully, launching a barrage of missiles and drones against Israeli targets. The attacks caused significant damage and casualties, and in a bold move, Iran extended its retaliation to the U.S. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, a key American military hub in the region. The conflict was no longer limited to Israel and Iran. It had become a direct confrontation with the United States. The United States, under President Trump, responded with overwhelming force. B-2 stealth bombers were deployed, striking multiple Iranian nuclear sites in a show of military might. The world held its breath as the possibility of a full-scale war loomed, with both sides refusing to back down. The escalation threatened to destabilize the entire region. As the violence intensified, the world watched in horror and disbelief. Global leaders scrambled to respond, convening emergency meetings and urging restraint. The United Nations Security Council held tense sessions, but consensus was elusive. Ordinary people everywhere feared the outbreak of a wider war that could have devastating consequences. A fragile ceasefire was brokered on June 24, offering a glimmer of hope to millions. Yet, the situation remains volatile, with sporadic missile launches and drone interceptions continuing to threaten the uneasy peace. The world remains on edge, knowing that a single miscalculation could reignite the conflict at any moment. Each day brings the risk of a new crisis, as the region teeters between war and peace. The world can only hope that diplomacy prevails before the next spark ignites another round of violence. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical artery for global energy, with 1/5 of the world's oil passing through. Control over this choke point means economic and geopolitical leverage. Recent instability has driven oil prices up 15% since May 2025. Any disruption could have catastrophic consequences for the global economy. Iran's threats to close the strait serve as a powerful deterrent, while the U.S. prioritizes keeping it open. This delicate balance makes the strait a potential flashpoint for wider conflict. Its significance cannot be overstated in the current standoff. The U.S.-Iran conflict draws in a web of alliances and rivalries. Israel and Saudi Arabia, key U.S. allies, see Iran as an existential threat and a challenge to regional leadership. Russia and China counter U.S. influence. Russia condemns U.S. strikes, while China signals support for Iran. These powers are active participants, not mere spectators. Their involvement adds layers of complexity and risk to the situation. Every move by these nations could diffuse or escalate the conflict. In this high-stakes game, miscalculation could have dire consequences. As the dust settles, the path forward is uncertain. 3 scenarios loom: renewed diplomacy, a swift descent into war, or a protracted stalemate. Diplomacy offers hope but requires real concessions from both sides. Trump's hardline approach and Iran's defiance make negotiation difficult. The fragile ceasefire is a window for dialogue, if seized in time. The world stands at a crossroads, with choices today shaping the region's future. What do you think? Share your thoughts and join the conversation about the path forward.